Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, and welcome back as always to our city of Dewy del Mar. So if you've ever tried to peel back the curtain behind the simulation in this game and found yourself at a loss, then today's episode is for you. Because we're going to add almost 5,000 jobs to address a whopping 30% unemployment and completely fail in the process. Personally, I feel like the city should be in revolt at this point, but we're nothing if not responsive to our citizens' needs, so in the name of jobs, we're going to dramatically expand our megaport with a nuclear power plant and an artificial island, inspired by this section of the port of Singapore as essentially a cul-de-sac for container ships. Then we're going to add a ton of offices and factories to the neighborhoods of Sofias and Novakville, and finally return to the countryside to add more farms. But like I said, by the end of our job spree, unemployment will still be at Great Depression levels, and honestly, I don't know why. I have a few suspicions after looking at the InfoLoom mod, mostly related to housing, but if any of you have run into high unemployment and couldn't solve it with a massive jobs program, let me know in the comments, because I hate to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the city on the brink of financial ruin. But apart from that, it's always fun to build heavy industry, and it's been way too long since we've been in the countryside, so even if unemployment didn't budge, I think our changes were worth it in the end. So with all that out of the way, let's begin. Let's take a crack at this artificial island to expand the Puerto de Prosperidad out here. And to make sure we have enough space, let's buy up these 2 tiles right next to the harbor. I think that should be enough. And it's just water, so very cheap. Next, we're going to take a look at our existing shipping lanes. And like I said, this is going to become basically like an aquatic cul-de-sac. So let's get rid of all these lanes right here. And these are going to complain for a second, but that's okay. We will reestablish all these shipping lanes in a second. I'm thinking the new harbor will be parallel to this one, facing inward. So let's grab the harbor asset and kind of line it up. I'm not going to place it yet because we got to actually build the land here, but let's get it pretty much around here. So I'm seeing that the right-hand edge is kind of lined with the middle of this block here. So what we can do is go to our level terrain tool, grab the height of the existing port, and start building this island with the edge kind of in line right there. Also want to make sure we have a nice land bridge for the road that's going to come out from here down to the island, quote unquote. Okay, our land bridge is established, so now we can finally place down this harbor, and let's get right on the edge here. Very cool. Okay, already this is looking really cool, I think, with the cul-de-sac effect here. So using the road builder mod, I've made a couple of industrial roads, or what I've called industrial roads, which are basically the minimum width of sidewalk and the maximum width for the lane, just so all of our trucks have kind of a bigger space to work with. So I want to bring out a 4-laner from here, I think. This is like the main road going through the entire port area, so I think this is the best way, or the best intersection to come off onto our island here. And I think I'm gonna forego getting the train connection here, just because we need at least an at-grade crossing here, and I really want to minimize that. Plus we got a train depot in this cargo harbor and a dedicated train depot right there, so I think we're okay with our cargo rail here. But let's go get this 4-lane industrial road. Where are you at? Bring it out there. And let's also just immediately connect the road up to here, so we have kind of an entry point going right down there. Cool, let's improve this intersection a little bit, because if you're going to the left here and then the right, those are 2 sharp 90-degree turns. And I think, we have basically a straight shot from this curve right here into the intersection, so we can facilitate that turn a little bit with a 2-lane industrial road. I think we can just like S-curve this basically into there. I'm then going to upgrade this into a 5-lane asymmetric industrial road, so we can get a dedicated left turn lane right here. Perfect, just like that, and then we can clean up some of these turn signals. Okay, I think the lane math is all mathing there, so let's quickly fix this stretch of Lilac Street so it's flush with this side of the road. Cool, hopefully that connects in a second, but now we can think about the road network out here. I'm just gonna frame it, I think, for now with this 2-lane industrial road, and we can basically make like a box to begin with. We'll make it a little more interesting in a second, but just to get an idea of what we want, I'm gonna bring it out here, and then we'll come with a straight road from this segment right there. And so this will define kind of the southern half of the island. Sweet, the grid stay intact, it's always a challenge. Okay, service buildings time. Let's immediately get the storage warehouse here. I love like just a big warehouse building in any industrial harbor. Like, I liked what we did over here, having 2 side by side. That looks pretty cool in my opinion. But the other 2 service buildings I want are first the industrial waste processing facility, which I think, yep, I need to unlock. And I want this because A, it looks super gritty and industrial, but also we're right next to the incineration plant, so a lot of like waste to process right next door, so good synergy. Let's get her right in the center here. Oh, sweet, that fits perfectly. I did not plan that. And then the other service building I want here is in the inspiration for this, the Port of Singapore area I mentioned and hopefully showed you. They have a Coast Guard facility with like a little harbor, and I think that's super cool. And it would be cool to have, I don't know, like police boats, even though it's not a thing in this game, just the idea of police boats policing the water out here, and it even has a helicopter. So I think if we get it maybe in this corner right here, and then we'll bring the road in a little bit, build a little marina there. So let's get, for that, I want to use the US Southwest Police Headquarters, just because this looks super cool and wavy. Let's put it down there. Bring back these roads. Oop, not all that. But we'll frame our harbor. And then we'll bring it in at an angle to kind of serve as a small breakwater. And then same for out here, except this will go straight out. So in there is where the water will be, and we'll do like a small little makeshift arena, and using Sully's local boat assets, hopefully we'll get like an approximation of a police boat or something like that. But I think now let's just fill out a basic road network inside these blocks here, and then we can zone some factories. And as I'm here, I realize I've been leaving the whole pathfinding thing broken. So let's reestablish our shipping lanes before our economy tanks. So we're gonna go to, we'll do the thinner narrow seaway to kind of connect these up. So I wonder if we could connect these maybe, or no, that's gonna look a little weird. So we'll have these shipping lanes just kind of do a U-turn there, but then let's connect these back up. Maybe we can do a bigger one for this right here. Yeah. And you know what? Let's make a new outside connection. I totally forgot we could just do that. So let's now finally connect these up. Okay, and let's make 2 new routes. Oop, I guess we gotta redo that one. No, should be good. Let's make 2 new routes. One to our new outside connection. And then we'll do, how about right over here? Okay, I think that's all good. So let's quickly do this harbor marina, and I guess let's bring back all the terrain really, so we can get the final shape of this island itself. So we're going to bring this up to here. We'll go inside here for the police, or the Coast Guard, I should say, Coast Guard Marina. Okay, obviously we'll smooth all that out, but I left a little bit of space here because I want to continue this kind of waterfront path all the way down to the little island there, just so workers don't have to, you know, walk down to our single restaurant here to get lunch or something like that. So let's just go get a pedestrian path, and then we can make it nice and nice and pretty. Yeah, go down the coast there. And speaking of, let's get a couple of like small restaurants for the area itself. How about some, yeah, Southwest. And let's top it all off with a little park right here for the workers so they can grab their lunch here and go sit and gaze at the water. Is this one too big? Oh, you know what? Here, I'm gonna bring the land out just to fit that. One more service building I want to get is, let's do one more extension of the incineration plant. We have this storage extension, so allows for more garbage. I just think it kind of looks cool, and it looks like one more service building to add to our harbor area here. Some kind of extension to the port or the harbor itself. Looks pretty imposing. So now I'm just going to clean up the coastline here, and for that we're going to use the soften terrain tool and bring this back, and then we're going to do riprap all along this coast during a detailing time lapse, I think. And in this corner right here, I think we need a fireman's watchtower. On the inside edge of this section of the harbor, let's get some harder edges to kind of match the severity of these quay walls right here. Make it look a little more, I don't know, sharp industrial. So what we're going to do is bring up the land to this corner. I guess we should get rid of these remaining rocks here. But that corner of the harbor there, and we'll have like a quay wall coming straight into Lilac Street there. But let's also bring this land back a little bit so we can get a road around this corner of the warehouse there. Okay, for this section, what we're gonna do is get an industrial 2-lane road to match up with the edge right around there. And basically we'll do like a little cul-de-sac. Oh, hey, nice, we got more shipping containers back. So we'll do a little cul-de-sac there. But what we're going to do is create a node halfway in between here, and then we can use our asymmetric road flipped to create dedicated left turn lanes for this direction on that half, and then going that way for this half, for people trying to turn left into this new road right here. Yep, just like that. Okay, so now we can zone inside the Garland Street little cul-de-sac here. Although I can see some things are still trying to zone on a Lilac, so to fix that, we can just turn everything on the inside into a quay wall. Basically force zoning on this stretch of Garland Street. Cool, okay, so for this section here, let's get, how about just a basic alleyway this time? We'll come off at a right angle from here. And here, let's rectify a mistake with this storage extension. First of all, it's so cattywampus, but it should not be facing Lilac Street itself, I think. So let's get another alleyway coming off from like right around here. Do a little turnaround road there. We could even get some like parking lot or maybe one or two more storage facilities in there. But all right, I think that's okay. So let's turn these into quay walls now, and we'll bring back the terrain, give it that nice sharp, clean edge. Cool, that looks a little more severe, I think, but we'll keep the terrain on this side so we can add a bunch of riprap rock along the edge here and kind of act as, I guess, a buffer against incoming waves, so it's not just the road that's protecting the entire harbor, you know? In fact, maybe we could extend the land out even farther to create like a more effective breakwater, but let's zone in a little bit here now. Sweet, so last thing we can do, let's have some fun with our Coast Guard facility here. In fact, let's name this the Coast Guard. Oh, and get a helipad? Hell yeah. Okay, for the main like Coast Guard vessel, I want to get the big passenger ship asset. And then yeah, we'll use Soli's local boat assets from his Discord. So for the big one, let's go get passenger ship. And to me, this kind of looks like some deep sea, you know, rescue vehicle for the Coast Guard. So obviously, we need a good name for the boat, so chat, have at it. And for the inside edge, let's just get some pavement paths to make some makeshift piers. And I did pause the game because my simulation was really affecting my frames per second there, so hopefully things are just catching up in the back end. And that might make no sense in the context of a simulation game, but hopefully. All right, there you go. Some local, you know, police boats to police the inner harbor itself, and then of course our deep sea vessel here. I'm thinking let's bring Crest Lane out a little bit farther to be like kind of a more effective breakwater. So this is an alleyway. Okay, we'll fix up the terrain and again add some riprap along all these outside edges during a detailing time lapse. But for now, I think our artificial island is looking good. Let's shift to this side of the harbor now. And my idea for these areas are, one, we're gonna reclaim a little bit more land and get the nuclear power plant on this peninsula right here. And just in the nick of time because we are firmly in the red now with our electricity trade. And the nuclear power plant is gonna bump that right back into green. So we'll be able to export some wattage there as well. But then we're going to connect to the existing road by a little bridge into this roundabout right there. Probably get rid of the roundabout. And then extend the road network up into this peninsula, do another bridge into here. And then I'm thinking we can probably bring back a few of these shops since we got some duplication there. Start bringing Olive Street down underneath these train tracks to serve this kind of factory area right there. So let's start by buying up all the tiles and unlocking the nuclear power plant. And why do you bring me over here every single time? And this plant asset really is kind of a beast, so we're gonna have to reclaim a lot of land, but we got a bunch of hills right here, so we can take some of that dirt and push it down here. And we'll have the chimneys out into the water. So something like this, but let's reclaim our land first and then kind of get the basic road network down. I'm gonna get rid of these sand surfaces too, finally. And we'll keep those on the other side of the river. Okay, we'll leave a little bit of hilly terrain here just to make things interesting. But all right, 2 road connections. We'll get our good old industrial road coming off from this point right here. And then it'll start making its way down the coast to cross, we'll say like right around here. Alright, for the nuclear power plant itself, the road access is on this side, so let's get one of these going at a right angle here. All the way down to about, sure there. Bring this all the way down. And now we can finally plop down the plant itself. And I believe, it should be hooked up to water and sewage already, so we just got to connect this, I guess we got an underground power line right there. Although I think the overground one looks a little cooler, so let's stick with this for now. And we are losing money. How much is this costing us? A lot. Okay, so I always forget about wages. Hopefully, we'll just, we'll keep an eye on that. Are we exporting? We are exporting now, so if anything, we might have to raise a little bit of taxes. But hey, look, we are 1,000 megawatts in the green, so that's a win in my book. For the rest of the road network out here, let's just get a couple of highways, make some grid areas, and then we'll start plopping down some service buildings and or signature buildings and zone in factories. So we're going to stick with our good old industrial two-lane road and then alleyways for maybe the smaller ones. And not 5 minutes later, we are back solidly in the green, so energy exports for the win. Let's talk about this connection though, because I definitely wanted to make it easier to get to this part of the whole industrial area without having to go all the way over here, over 2 bridges basically. So I'm thinking we can burrow underneath the train tracks, and obviously we got enough room with the highway there, although we will have to move these columns, I see. That's okay. What we're gonna do is create nodes between here and here on these train tracks, and then we'll turn them into elevated segments so we can lower the train beneath it. All right, let's lower this ground. And I think we can get away with maybe like 8 meters below the train tracks. So this is at 121. Do we have a 113? All right, this side should be simple. I'm gonna bring back this road though, and we're gonna slope right into this interchange. 5%, that should be good for our industrial traffic. Oh, what'd I just do? This one over here, we are definitely gonna have to bring back Olive Street a little bit. So let's get rid of these 3 Japanese buildings since, we got duplicates anyway. Ooh, do not wanna touch the train there. And then we'll start a node here, and we can start sloping down. I believe the train asset is going to prevent us from actually lowering the train anywhere inside its box here, but that's okay. That's just like a limitation of the game that I think we can live with. But 5%, yeah, even if it's like going to stop right there, we know that we were trying to do 5%, so we'll throw ourselves a bone here. All right, well, that's the idea, but we can do a little bit of cleanup. So I see the surfaces went down with the terrain as well, and then we'll shift these columns a little bit out of the way, but then we are technically all connected up, I think. All right, so we got the makings of an underpass, though for whatever reason, I've been trying to add nodes on the train tracks like right here and right here to create quay walls as like a more structurally sound support system. But for whatever reason, it continues to overlap with Garnett Street, the quay wall itself. So to appease all the structural engineers out there, let's just get these train vertical pillars underneath the tracks to support all the weight there. And there you go. I think it looks a little better. But now we have two ways into and out of our new industrial area. So let's create a dedicated district. And since we got the nuclear power plant here, I'm feeling some Fallout vibes. Fallout 3 specifically, because that's like, I don't know, maybe my favorite, or one of my favorite games of all time. And so in honor of one of the settlements in that game, I'm going to call this the Rivet City Industrial Park. And this will be the Rivet City Nuclear Power Plant. And let's assign some of the outside services we have. We'll place, I think, a post office and fire station within the district itself. Maybe even some water stuff, because we are doing horrible on water. Yep. But things like garbage, police, and healthcare, we already have some establishments in the port, which I realize now does not include our new island. Oops. But all right, let's get all the major ones. Okay, so yeah, for fire, I want to place it kind of close to the nuclear power plant to like quell, I don't know, runaway nuclear fires. So let's do something in this corner right here. And for that, I'm a fan of I'm a fan of the Chinese assets here because they are, you know, mostly concrete and it feels industrial, gritty, fits the vibe. So let's assign this rescue brigade right next to it. I'm also not a fan of this street. Let's taper that back for now. And then the other couple of services in this triangular lot, let's get a radio mast to kind of flush out our cell tower coverage. And I'm going to turn on colors very briefly and check. Yep, we are in the green, so good there. The other one I mentioned is post office, because we are always doing horrible with our post coverage. Yep, so I think we can fit maybe the vanilla post office somewhere, which I feel like I don't use that much. I mean, obviously, you saw my post stats. So let's put it right in there. That fits perfectly. All right, so we got post. Let's assign that. Might as well get all these as well. Even if we have the Uber post sorting office out there. And so the other one we saw was water, which is horrible. I'm thinking let's wait to do the water availability because I want to use this advanced water pumping station, but nowhere near the port since this is all pretty much polluted water. We can deal with sewage though, and I really like this Japanese water treatment plant because it's got the outside tanks and I think it looks really cool. I think it would look best next to the river though, so let's place like 2 in a row around this lot. In fact, let's redo this road. So we'll have 2 side by side, kind of like here and here. And just to, oh wait, those increase water as well. I did not know that. I guess might as well get a water tower out here since this doesn't rely on groundwater. So let's place it maybe, yeah, in this corner right there. I didn't want to attach it to this part because I think we should get a parking lot there for all the water people, the workers there. Okay, so sewage is fully in the green now. That's good. Water is doing a little better. We can do better though later once we unlock that water pumping station. Okay, so we got water, fire, post, and cell. So I think we're good on services for now, which means it's time to start zoning all our factories and offices. And I want to get a little bit of commercial in here to serve as like lunch options for all the workers and stuff. So let's take a look at this super block right here, and I think this is a good opportunity to use the switch-on factory, which just barely fits in here, and it kind of fits the new age industry vibe from the nuclear power plant itself. But this thing's got 245 employees, which immediately filled up. That's good to see. And almost like, 10 parking lots there, so that's nowhere near enough parking. Let's get 2 ground lots on either side of this open land here, and the moderate lot just fits. And in the center, I want to get kind of a taller office tower to kind of look over imposingly at the switch-on factory itself. I don't want something too tall though. If I filled up this entire block, it would be just a skyscraper. So instead, I'm going to use a one-way alley to create kind of like a roundabout of sorts. Not a roundabout, but whatever that is. And we're going to do a Chinese 2x2, I think should be tall enough. And this is a 2x1, which is perfect for a little parquet. Lovely. The only other building I want to plop down, I realize, is actually a service building, not a signature building, and that is the Japanese City Hall, or City Office, I should say. But this is basically a city hall. I don't know, looks corporate, bland, so I think it's a perfect, for up on this hill, looking down on all their minions. So I'm going to actually get rid of this alleyway, and we're going to have it face Meadow Street, which is kind of a bigger street here. Do something like that and get some parking for all the C-suite executives. But okay, in terms of all the other zoning, again, pretty much all the above. Factory, office, and a little bit of commercial for lunch options. And then I'm going to break up these blocks, maybe add a few more alleyways, but yeah, let's see what we can do. All right, so modified the road network here a little bit to accommodate this mail storage extension, which is actually part of the big sorting facility out there. But I wanted another bigger asset to kind of break up the monotony of all the factories here. And that's something that I don't like to do with industrial districts, is just blocks and blocks of these factory assets. I don't know, it feels a little weird, and I like to have kind of varied asset size, if that makes sense. But I think the next thing I want to do is get a couple parks here, because we have these restaurants, especially in this corner right here. And if you're going to lunch and you want to take a walk afterwards to help digest your food, I don't want you walking along these heavy industrial lanes. Let's give them some nice parks to walk through. So let's stick on the smaller side. We have this smaller park over there. So maybe, how about a small plaza? And we'll do it by the office areas over here, I think. And this is for also all of our nuclear power plant workers, but in the cracks here, we can get a few of the pocket parks. We'll shift these buildings around in a second, but I left this side of the river open because I think I want to extend the above ground power lines. Even though they are hideous in real life, I think they look great in the game. And it's a lot more visually interesting than an underground line. So let's continue these above ground along the riverbank here. We'll go over the river and through the woods. Just kidding. That was dumb. And then we can, maybe go over here and connect to the power line across the highway. Would I want to be one of these offices underneath the power line? Maybe not, but hey, cheap rent. I'm second guessing this pocket park though. Let's get a full-blown park plaza, I think. Or is this what we have over there? Yeah, let's do this circular park. Cool, and then maybe just a small parking lot on either side. And it's good to see all this traffic here, people coming into their new jobs, but that tells me we should probably get some public transportation out there. I believe we have an existing bus line there, so let's just add a new stop maybe in this block here, and we can drag the existing line out here. So it's going to come stop there, do a loop, and I guess come back to, serve the greater harbor area. Should we add one more maybe next to our big city office here? Oh, okay, cool. Then it's going to go through there, so might as well add a stop in front of our park maintenance depot as well. Which, I don't know if I said anything about that. I did add a park maintenance depot, just since we'll have, we do have a few parks there now. It may be industrial, but doesn't mean it can't have nice parks. To finish out the harbor section of today's episode, let's do a little bit more zoning over here. And so we can get offices along Evergreen Street here, since it's very close to the company commune here. Don't want to do anything too polluting, but we'll do the opposite. We're going to do like an environmental catastrophe and add the fuel plant signature building right next to the oil refinery. This is kind of a bigger asset, so we're going to have to flatten the land, a little bit, and then we can extend Glade Street. I guess, right next to the mail sorting facility there, or the post sorting facility. And we can add maybe a few more factories on this side of what is now Bedford Street. God, this game. And then, low density office along Evergreen Street for people from Ortiz Oil who want to kind of level up their skills or their paycheck. Don't want to get too close to Ivy Highway there since it's kind of a downward slope, but for the people in the commune, let's get a couple more eateries or restaurants, whatever this spawns. But all right, we'll let those level up, and then for now, let's do a quick check-in for our jobs count. You may have noticed I did remove the InfoLoom mod, and I think it was tanking my performance, or at least my performance was tanking, and when I removed the mod, everything kind of rebounded. So if you're seeing issues and you have that mod, maybe it's related. Wouldn't surprise me because I bet it's doing a bunch of heavy calculations in the back end. But for now, we're going to rely on the vanilla stat, which is, drumroll, 28%. Okay, so we're down like what, 6%? We started around 34. So definitely still a catastrophe, but we are headed in the right direction. So for now, we're going to let the port be, let everything level up, and let's move down to the downtown area and get some more office jobs. Okay, here's the plan as we move closer to the downtown area. First, we're going to expand Sofia's Wrench both ways. We're going to get some clean industry along this stretch of land here. And I do want clean so we're not polluting, Pacific Heights and Vista Serena. And then closer to this metro stop, we will get some commercial and low-density office. Then we'll move to Novakville and rethink the bottom half. As I mentioned, this is just too low density and residential, I think, to be this close to the madness that is across the highway. So what we're going to do is continue the mini grid I started with Cherry and Aspen Lane here, but going straight across and get more commercial and office closer to the bottom here, closer to Robin Street and the train tracks there. I'll probably keep these low rent houses though, because these are high density and that's the vibe I'm going for. Then we'll move up the corridor and, I'll do community feedback at the end, but I did add some turnaround lanes on either side of the couplet here, just so you don't have to do crazy U-turns there. But we'll get more offices and maybe a couple of clean factories out here in the Diego Industrial Park, since we got some open land there by Nova Sad Boulevard. So let's start over at Sofia's Wrench. I'm going to expand the district before I forget, so all of our factories here are kind of covered by the services already assigned to this district. But let's get this alleyway coming down this stretch here and bring up the land. Or down the land, in that case. And luckily we got a retaining wall, so it looks nice and smooth there. Get rid of that roundabout, and then we'll break it up with a couple of offshoot streets. Actually, do we even need to? Don't have that much room, so maybe we'll just put a roundabout at the very end here. We'll do a bigger one for the trucks going through here. But okay, let's get some clean industry along this road. Since we're getting close to the edge here, we'll do the same treatment by doing a parking lot kind of right up against the wall there, and we'll get a fence there too. Actually, can we use the vanilla? Does that just barely fits? Perfect. So we'll get one of these, or can we fit two? Yeah, let's do it. And then we can use our pavement surfaces to kind of extend the existing one, make it seem like it's a continuous, like service parking area. Sweet. All right, later we'll come by, expand the surfaces, get some more scuff and stain decals. Maybe get, yeah, we can fit one more. Let's do like a storage unit right here, if that zones in. But since we're kind of eating into the terrain there, let's also make this side of Summit Highway a key wall. Excellent. Okay, on this side of Sofia's Wrench, I think I have to get rid of all these anarchy trees, otherwise they'll just stay within the footprint of the building. But again, we're going to do primarily commercial and low density office. In terms of public transportation to Sofia's Wrench, we have the metro stop, but that's kind of a long walk. So I think it's high time we get a bus stop. And we can do maybe just a local one between Pacific Heights and Sofia's Wrench. So get people living in these townhouses here easily to the factory and back. So we'll just do a North American stop. How about, we'll do two. We'll do one by the offices here and then down, yeah, by this parking lot. And so it can take the roundabout there. But it'll come, yeah, on either side there. Might as well get one in front of the metro station for some transportation synergy. And then let's just go in a loop here. Sweet, and we will name that the Sofia Wrench Line, or Sofia's Wrench Line. So now let's shift to Novakville, and this is unfortunately going to cause a lot of dislocation because I'm about to evict pretty much everyone like south of this half of Novakville, so my bad, people. All right, all told, we're not losing that many people, but I may, who knows what that's actually going to do to unemployment since now I just evicted a bunch of people. Yeah, I'm not sure how the simulation handles that, but let's continue the grid here. Let's take a look at our terrain lines. It is pretty hilly in here, so we're going to have to create pretty much tiers of this grid. And then we'll slope up from here into this right there. So I think I saw 8%. That's not bad. We'll stick with alleyways since that's what we have here, but we'll just go straight out now. And it's okay if it doesn't line up exactly at a 90, or I guess not exactly parallel with Robin Street there, but that's okay. I'd rather have this grid more intact. And I'm gonna have it so we focus zoning on the back half of each street. So to do that, let's use our key walls. And in the front, we will add these keys. Oop, not all the way there though. Yep, so all the zoning cells are now on the top half of the road, but let's connect them up over here. And we should probably get like a cross street going right through here. All right, a little terrain leveling, and wow, I lost a lot more people than 150. Miscalculated that. I mean, obviously the buildings are gonna level the terrain however we do it. So yeah, let's get commercial over here, office over there. And then we can fill in some of the missing houses that I just demolished. Kind of mixing and matching zone types here. We'll see how it looks. I didn't plan this, but this road could go like right into this plateau, which could be a nice dog park. In terms of public transportation and getting people to the new job center, obviously we have the metro stop here, and that's good for people all across the city getting here, but the more localized bus route we have going up and down Novakville Boulevard. And I'm thinking, let's bring this part down through the new job center and the new commercial center here. We could have like a stop that acts as a synergy point or a transfer point with the metro stop, and then it can go up here and then be on its merry way. So let's add a stop maybe by these houses. And I just realized that's on the wrong side. One there. We'll get one more right by this parking lot in the park there. And then we can just drag the line down. And it already knows the path I'm thinking. Lovely. And then I'm okay keeping the rest of it on Novakville Boulevard. And so as these level up, let's add some of these single family houses back. Maybe actually let's do some row houses to kind of act as a buffer between the nice low density single family houses and kind of the higher density job center here. Okay, cool. Yeah, that looks a lot more developed, and the drop-off in density feels a little more natural between this side of the highway and Novakville itself, instead of having, you know, like these serene single-family houses right up against the train track. That always felt weird. So later during the time lapse, we'll fill in the cracks with some pavement surface, make it feel even more developed, even some pedestrian paths inside the blocks to improve walking access from this side of Novakville to the metro stop. But the last zoning in terms of like factory, commercial, and office that we can do is over by the Diego Industrial Park Recycling Center. So right on this side of Novakville Boulevard, since we are close to some parks and stuff, let's get some offices instead of even clean industry. I don't know if I want like factories so close to our lake park there. But over here by the highway, this is where we can do some clean factories. And actually, I'm gonna leave myself enough room here because I think underneath the highway, did I leave myself enough room for a parking lot? I did, perfect. Can always use more parking. So yeah, in terms of public transportation, we have a bus stop here, so that can serve the factories there, but let's get one more stop on this side of Novakville Boulevard, right in front of our new offices. But cool, that is the last of the zoning I wanted to do in terms of like office, commercial, and industrial. And perfect timing to go to the countryside and get some farmland because the trees are changing and we want to get out of the big city and enjoy nature. So let's focus on our verdant valley here. I definitely have a lot of fond memories of the countryside build just because it was like one of the first videos I did that kind of blew up, and it came out right when the game Tiny Glade came out as well. So YouTube thought that they were similar vibes, kind of the cozy countryside vibes, and yeah, the video just kind of blew up. Plus, it's just a really nice contrast between the hustle and bustle of the dense downtown and then like our industrial wastelands out there. So always good to have some pretty countryside builds. And that's what we're going to continue. So we have a bunch of fertile land all throughout the valley here along this river. And I'm thinking, let's get some farmlands up to this creek right here. In terms of what farms we're going to build, if we take a look at production, we have the biggest deficits in grain, livestock, and vegetables. So we'll prioritize those three. One thing though, I never actually bought these tiles just because back when I did the countryside build, I didn't want to spend all the money just to do farms, but I think it is high time that we kind of rectify that. So we're going to purchase this entire valley, plus these two. And that is a crap ton of money. Wow, okay, so we might have to raise taxes soon. Oh, but doing that revealed some issues. All right, let's fix this up. Okay, so Soul Harvest is back in business, and they are at level 5, so I guess the lack of electricity didn't really hinder their production. But let's focus on this side now. So what we're going to do is get another 2-lane country highway snaking along the river here, and same deal out here. We're going to use tree lines and gravel roads to create these little cells of farmland. And this is going to be good for our lower education workers. That's what farms and service industry stuff like this can target. So let's take a 2-lane highway. Turn on terrain, and we'll follow the bend of the river here. Sweet, now to get electricity, we could add lighting to the entire highway, but like we did on that side of the valley, let's get some poles along the highway just because it feels, I don't know, a little more country vibe. And let's also make sure we got water and sewage going underneath the entire highway. Okay, so water, power, all that should be hooked up. So what we're going to do now is get some gravel roads, kind of following the contour lines a little bit, make some tree lines, and the biggest things to watch out for are, again, where are you at? Kind of the hills in the middle here, but also the stream beds there. So let's just, make some cells. Okay, so this is good for our road network. We'll stop at this stream bed here and leave this to, I don't know, future suburbs, since it's so close to the industrial site there. But now what we're gonna do is clear these trees, and then we'll use the line tool with some bushes to create these tree lines over there. Okay, that should be good for now. So the trees and the roads and the stream beds will separate all our farms. So let's start with our grain, since that was kind of the biggest deficit. We're gonna go to specialized industry, which right now is being blocked by that button. That's a little weird. So grain, and let's get some super blocks here. We have a 80 ton per month deficit. Wow, okay, let's hope we can make that up. And we will not conform to that circular limit there. Let's get one over these hills here. Love like a farm that kind of flows over the hillside like that. Well, I think I saw that was 245 tons, so We might be good for grain for now. Let's get some livestock next. And unfortunately, you can see it is the same surface, but what we'll do is use the surface tool to paint over the farms, because I think we need functional ones, unlike some of the surfaces over there, but we can play with it to make it look a little more varied. Let's do a vegetable farm out here. And let's do another livestock over here. Oh, we need power here. I thought I connected all this up. Oh no, it's because it's under the highway. That's right. Let's make sure these are connected, and then we'll take stock of what our production deficits look like. All right, let's take quick stock of our production. So we are still in pretty high deficits here. I mean, obviously this will change as we level up, but it looks like grain is still way in the red. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna fill in the rest with grain, maybe one more livestock, but then we can come through later with the surface tool and maybe even some trees to make it look like an apple orchard, just so we get some variety like we have out in this part of the valley. So let's fill in the rest of these cells. For the surfaces, let's get a nice big grass field in this one right here. So let's go to the surface tool, grasses, and we'll get, how about our like nice meadow looking one? And I'm just gonna fill in this entire area. Could I use the bucket tool? Almost, but no cigar. And I'm gonna line this with a bunch of apple trees, so big old apple orchard. Fun fact, you see the farms spawn a fence. A farmer commented on a previous video saying you won't actually have fences like this around farms because it makes it a real pain to drive up into the field to do maintenance or whatever. So yeah, fun fact, if you're doing a custom farm, don't do fences around the fields. And we'll do the handy dandy trick of varying up the age so it looks like you're kind of, what's the word? Not yielding them, but like harvesting them. There we go. At different times of the year. All right, one apple orchard down. Let's kind of spice up the rest now. Okay, I think that looks 10 times better. We got an apple orchard here, some kind of flower farm factory there. We zoom in, there we go. And then, I don't know, some kind of, what is this? London Plain tree farm, I guess. And grazing grass over there. So last we gotta do is make some districts for these farms. And I think I inadvertently called this Verdant Valley. That is not a name anywhere here. So I guess maybe that's Green Valley, right? So we'll call these set of farms Verdant Valley Farms. And I can imagine some kind of copyright suit between Verde Valley and Verdant Valley, so good thing they're neighbors. And then last over here, because we have an apple orchard, there are some fun apple orchards here in Washington State where I live. up in something called the Skagit Valley. So I'm going to call these Skagit Valley Farms. Fun fact, Washington State is like one of the biggest exporters of apples in the country, I think. So now all they need is some services. So we'll grab, since the recycling center is right there, let's assign it to these 2 farms, but then we'll get fire and police. And now that I've made a district, we can actually see how many employees we just made. So Skagit Valley Farms has a whopping 46 employees and 56. So I just basically spent an hour making room for 100 employees when I could have zoned like 5 factories in 2 seconds. So that's great. At least it looks a lot cooler. And I'm glad we got back to like the tranquil countryside and expanded it. So still worth it. So now it's time to quickly detail things up. Honestly, I don't think we need to detail anything else in the countryside since I did all the kind of the fake farms like that. So that's looking good from space. Maybe we can add some trees along the river there, a park or 2 along the highway maybe. But the main things are filling in cracks for our new Novakville industrial, or I guess office area, and of course getting a bunch of riprap along our nuclear power plant. In fact, I think I should add another breakwater kind of out here at the edge of the map. We might have to even remove this connection because I don't want the chimneys of the nuclear power plant just completely exposed to the open water like that. And even though this acts as a breakwater for the inner port, these poor factories out here, they're still kind of exposed. So yeah, we'll add like a breakwater right along the edge there, which is the edge of the map. I cannot go past that, so that'll be interesting. But other than that, we'll see what else we can do. So yeah, let's start this detailing time lapse. Alright, welcome back everyone. Let's do a quick recap, and then there are a couple more things I want to do in our port area. The first one is I realize we have a shipping lane kind of blocking the breakwater here, so we're going to reroute to a new connection, and then we can extend the breakwater to protect these port businesses as well. And speaking of the island, or kind of island, I'm going to bring the bus loop out so it can serve this area as well, because right now it's just kind of serving this chunk of the port and our new Rivet City Industrial Park, but a lot of jobs out here, so we want to serve them with public transportation as well. And then we're going to add the advanced water pumping station to the peninsula out here, far enough away where it's not sucking up water from, our oil refinery or fuel plant and all the heavy polluting industry out in the port. In terms of detailing though, did the usual in outlining our shore with a bunch of protective rock there and some overgrown bushes, filled in the blocks with a lot of pavement and parking and stained decals, just to make it seem like this is super developed. Kind of got some nice pedestrian paths along the shore there, and to improve access from parking lots around here within the Rivet City Industrial Park itself. One small detail that I did not capture on camera, and I don't know if you can notice this, but this looks slightly different because I rotated everything ever so slightly clockwise, because this road right here was just slightly misaligned with this right here, and God, was it triggering my OCD. So if this looks different, it's just because I moved everything or rotated it just clockwise a little bit. So Walnut Street in this section is perpendicular to this street, and now these two are aligned. And then similar treatment over in our port island, if you can call it an island, but more rock, fill in the gaps with surfaces, some of these kind of wear and tear net lanes, make it seem like, yeah, there is a lot of industry going on here. And then one of my favorite hacks, if you can call it that, to make a port feel more realistic is getting these leakage decals on the seams of the roof here. Make it seem like, yeah, when it's raining, they're not really maintaining the roof there, so looks a little grittier and a little unmaintained in a good way. And then finally, similar treatment over in Sofias Wrench and Novakville, where filled in gaps with pavement, parking decals, some actual parking lots there, a lot of stained decals, and then moving or kind of twisting the buildings so they conform to the curvature of the roads here. Again, I just hate it when, you have townhouses that are in chunks of straight blocks. That looks really inorganic, if that's a word. But yeah, kind of moving them around. It's tedious, but in my mind, 100% worth it. Also, one small detail, I did add a sound barrier to this side of Poplar Highway, just so we don't have, noise complaints from these poor souls right here next to the highway. Let's extend this breakwater now, and we're going to delete this shipping lane. I believe, yep, it was tied to that harbor, so we can just make a new connection, I think. We'll use a good old medium one and kind of curve it, I guess, like right into there. Easy enough. And now I'm going to use the level terrain tool, get that elevation, and then we'll extend this breakwater up there and then add another angle to protect the island. All right, there you go. And we have a little entrance here in case you have, like, I don't know, a tugboat that needs to go up the mouth of the river there for whatever reason. But all right, let's think about the bus loop now, because if we take a look at our bus stops, they're kind of all over the place. I added them a little haphazardly after the fact of, expanding the port area. So I'm thinking the simplest thing is let's just redo it, and we'll do a counterclockwise loop starting at the metro station, going into Ortiz Oil Company Commune, coming down here. We'll go under our new underpass there, or on our new underpass, through Rivet City, across the bridge again, down, loop around here, and then come back up hit our bus station there, which seems a little superfluous at this point, but then loop right back into the metro stop. So I'm gonna actually just delete the entire line. And let's just clean up all these bus stops as well. Actually, we can keep those. We know we're gonna loop there. All right, in terms of placement, I just want to make sure that they are on the right side of the road. So we're starting at the metro. We'll go right there. Hit up these office parks here. We'll still stop by the school, loop around there. Maybe hit up the clinic and the police station there. We'll go right by these offices and also the train terminal there, so we can serve passengers coming from way beyond outside the limits of the city. I don't think we need to stop there, but let's get one by our office / city hall there. One more right in front of Switch On. Come across here, hit up our kind of recycling center. And then, yeah, we'll come back here and we'll do a loop in front of the park, in front of our waste processing facility. I don't want to stop in front of the harbor. I think that's close enough. So that should be good. And then, yeah, we'll loop back right in front of, oh, I guess this one's in front of the harbor, but hit up the bus stop there. It's going to do a weird loop-de-loop around there, but that's okay. And might as well get one in front of the oil refinery. All right, let's make the route now. In terms of gaps, I think I do actually want to add one more to break up the line from the train station there all the way over to our city office. So we will get one right in front of our Parks Depot, I think. And because we got like an office park there. And there's also a big gap in coverage between these two, so might as well get one in front of the, whatever this is. What is that? Chemical plant. All right, let's find it and rename it back to Dimbus Harbor. And so the last thing, let's get that advanced water pumping station, which I have to unlock. Yep. And I think I want to extend like a little parkway down the coast here, since this is pretty hilly. Kind of reminds me like Big Sur almost, although nowhere near as majestic if you've been there in California. But maybe in this little inlet right here. So let's go get our asset itself. And I'm not sure what this is going to do to the terrain, but we'll kind of hide it in between the two hills there. Let's get rid of these sand surfaces. And we're going to have to level out a little piece of land that kind of snakes around the coast. And this might be like one of the prettiest drives of the city now. We'll convert this into, I believe we have a road builder road that I called like Country Lane or something like that. Yeah, 2-lane country road. Perfect. I think at some point we should kind of downgrade this to a basic. We'll do this two-way alley with sidewalk, just because we can do an intersection there and break up, like, I don't know, having a beautiful country road lead into a pumping station directly feels a little weird. So yeah, we'll kind of downgrade the street here. And later we can do some kind of intersection there where it ends in a park or something. I don't know. We'll see. And what did that do to our water? Sweet, we are in the green and we're even exporting now. So I actually didn't see what our budget was, but I imagine this has gone up or will go up any second now. Okay, so before we head out, let's do two things. One, address a little bit of community feedback from last episode, and then two, go over our numbers again. Spoiler alert, they are still horrible, and I think I know why after re-downloading the InfoLoom mod and kind of exploring the numbers a little bit more. But community feedback first. The main one being the golf course name. I put out a poll, and the overwhelming winner was Alvaro Point Country Club from Brian Smith 923. And that's great. Country Club sounds very exclusive, and you know, it's in San Alvaro Heights, so the name makes sense. In terms of the immigrant community, two things. One from Timo Hawk _ was they suggested getting some turnaround lanes along Nova Sad Boulevard here. so you didn't have to make a crazy U-turn on either end if you need to get from one end to the other. So kind of spruced up the intersections there as well with some landscaping to make it look a little nicer when you have these turnaround lanes. But the main one was there was a little bit of feedback on the symbol I used for Novi Sad Memorial Park. This is the Serbian cross, and unbeknownst to me, I should have researched this better, but there is some history there with the genocide in the 90s. And so to not take away from the fact that this is a Novi Sad Memorial Park, I think before next video, off screen, I'm going to swap out the cross for the logo for Novi Sad City itself, which is 3 towers and a dove. And I think that's a lot more appropriate. So I want to make sure that this is a memorial and not, controversial. So for the moment of truth, I hate to spoil it, but we pretty much didn't move the needle at all. Our unemployment is still through the roof. And I've just been like kicking myself looking at the numbers like, what the freak do I need to do to bring that down? Because I just added like 5,000 jobs. But then I opened up workplaces and I was like, oh, they're filled with commuters because I have been horrible about building housing for them. And I'm like, duh. We have had through the roof demand for pretty much the entire series of Dewy del Mar. So that's on me. If y'all have been watching this episode saying, wait a second, this dum-dum needs to build more houses to house all the workers. Yep, you're right. So I feel dumb. Not that this wasn't worth it. I always love working on the port and expanding heavy industrial areas like that. So still cool from like a build point of view. And it was always good to get back in the countryside and expand our grain production. Speaking of, let's look at our production as well. So we were at, all right, well, at least grain went down like, I think this was at 80-ton deficit, and now it's at 20, so that's good. These will continue to level up. These are not doing as well as I thought they would be, but again, these will level up and start producing more grain. So at least we somewhat addressed that, and again, always fun to be back in the countryside. So with all that being said, as usual, if you have any suggestions or feedback besides, actually look at your numbers next time, bro, please let me know. Specifically around the port area. Again, fun builds, and finally addressing the issue of the breakwater and stuff. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.